Welcome to Shannons Club TV, where we look back on standout cars from Australian roads and racetracks.
In each episode, we reflect on the defining points of our feature car, including a road test in an owner's example. We'll also catch up with the Shannons auctions team for the latest market news.
Now in today's episode, the British car, which sold well at home, but struggled in many export markets, including Australia. The Leyland Marina.
Through the 1950s and into the 1960s, BMC and Ford had competed for leadership of the British market. But buyers, fleet buyers in particular, preferred the conservative rear-wheel drive Cortina to BMC's top seller, the Morris 1100. Head of British Leyland marketing man Donald Stokes announced at the launch of the Austin Maxi in 1969 that from now on Austin would produce the technically advanced models while Morris would handle the mainstream Reed Marina. Perhaps the choice of Cannes, home to the glamorous International Film Festival, as the launch venue distracted some guests from the sheer ordinariness of the car. It seems to me that the Marina marked the beginning of the real decline of the British industry. This last ever Morris was as conservative as the Mini 1959, Morris 1100 1962, and Austin 1800 1965 had been radical. Mark, would it be fair to assume the Marina was also not destined for greatness in motorsport?
Yeah, it would be fair to say that. I mean, it was never going to reach the dizzy heights of Ford's Escort and Cortina. But then again, it was never backed with the same sort of open checkbook enthusiasm for motorsport that Ford displayed with those cars. Even so, the Marina did compete in a number of different races and rallies throughout the world, and in different specifications, including V8 power, which I'll get to a bit later on.
The Marina was intended as a stopgap for half a decade or so, but Ford proved to be a moving target. By the time the Marina was ready, the bigger TC Cortina was on sale. Had the Marina been brilliant, this size deficiency might not have mattered, but sadly it was more than usually compromised. The front end essentially came straight out of a 1949 Mori Minor. Even when the suspension was upgraded, the Marina didn't handle. And where the elegant Morris 1100 had been designed by Pininfarina, the Marina was done in-house. The Aussie Morris 1500's 1.5 litre SOHC engine was carried over along with a 1750cc version. In Australia, there were only sedans and coupes. The TC for twin carburettor coupe only edition was the pick of the four-cylinder cars and a performance bargain. Then Leyland Australia, for some reason, plumbed the 2.6 litre P76 six-cylinder engine into the Marina to challenge the interesting new market sector created by the Tirana 6. The Marina sold modestly in Australia. Quality was mediocre, and the car had no more interior space and none of the treasured agility of its front-wheel drive predecessor. How was this meant to represent progress? Mark, it must be admitted though that the Marina 6 was pretty quick.
Well, it was certainly quick in a straight line. But then you had performance versions which raised the performance bar in Marina to a whole new level. Given that the Marina was primarily designed to compete with Ford's Escort and Cortina, and given the Escort's huge success in rallying at the time, it made sense for British Leyland's special tuning branch to explore the Marina's potential in motorsport. A 1.3 litre coupe with Mini Cooper S engine specs and works driver Brian Kulcheth enjoyed considerable success, winning its class in the 1971 RAC Rally and claiming 12 more class wins in national and international rallies. Special Tuning also built a 3.5 litre Rover V8 powered Marina coupe to compete in the 1974 London Sahara Munich World Cup Rally. After proving highly competitive in the early European stages, like many cars, it also succumbed to the Sahara Desert, retiring with a cracked rear axle housing. John, all these V8s, it makes you wonder, what a V8 Marina road car with decent suspension might have been like if they made one.
Well, imagine a TC coupe, but with telescopic dampers and a rejigged front end.
Yeah, like modern suspension.
Yeah, and a lightweight alloy V8 engine and 8-inch rims.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a bit of fun, wouldn't it?
It would have been very, very fast, given how quick the six-cylinder car was in a straight line. It was always let down by its handling, but yeah, that car had a lot of potential with some new ideas.
I think so, yes, but they just unfortunately didn't have the money or perhaps even the imagination to put all that into practice.
Yeah, it was a shame, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Despite the World Cup failure, the concept of a marina with a lightweight aluminium V8 was far from buried. British Leyland's South African branch rallied V8 marinas, and the idea also found favour in Australia, where several hand-built creations competed in the sports sedan class. These included Noel Delforce's coupe, with enormous wheel arch flares covering 10-inch wide tyres, and a bored and stroked 4.7 litre version of the Rover V8, with 4 Delorto carbs and close to 400 brake horsepower. A bullet in a straight line, but with fearfully twitchy handling, it was a beast in every sense of the word. Others included Bruce Watt's version, powered by Leyland's 4.4 litre P76 V8 derivative fed by 4 Weber carbs, and the wild-looking coupe campaigned by Gordon Mitchell in Western Australia, which started out as the spare car for the World Cup rally contender. The Marina, in Australia's unique 6-cylinder form, also competed in the 1974 Bathurst 1000. Rookie drivers Neil Byers and Peter Molesworth were no match for the Mazda RX-3s in their class, but they did have reliability on their side and were among only 26 of the original 60 starters to finish the race. Overall, the Marina boasts a diverse motorsport heritage, which belies its reputation as one of the world's worst cars. Remember to join the Shannons Club, where you can connect with other enthusiasts around the country.
My name's Gary Williamson. This is my car, a 1972 Morris Marina. It's a coupe, the super version. It was bought new in '72. This was manufactured probably in the first week when they started making them in Australia. Being the 2-door coupe, they use the same door as a 4-door. It hasn't got any sway bar or any improvements in the suspension, so very hard to find parts for now, these cars. I used to service the car from about the mid-90s. When Wally, who owned it, finished with it, he offered it to me. I've really just fixed the brakes and gave a bit of polish and got on the club permit scheme. But it's an unusual car nowadays and it's worth preserving. The key specs, this is a 4-speed manual with a 4-cylinder overhead cam, 1750cc engine. The handling characteristics of a Morris Marina, it's a bit interesting to drive. The whole mechanicals are based on a 1948 Morris Minor. 20 years ago that was fine, but to revamp it in this car in the early 70s, it's quite interesting to drive. Been with Shannons for about 8 years. We have all the house and all vintage cars and modern cars with them. We've only ever had one issue with a broken windscreen and they sorted that out quite quickly. This Marina I'll keep with our collection. It's certainly an unusual car. It has got its little place in history. There are not many around anymore.
Shannons National Auctions Manager Chris Borrabon is here to bring us up to date on the Morris Marina.
Hello, John.
Welcome, Chris. The Morris Marina,
or Leyland Marina, as we call it here.
Was quite a departure from what British Leyland had been doing, wasn't it? Before.
It was, yeah, quite different. I mean, clearly remember the Marina in my childhood. There were plenty of them on the road. Affordable British car at the time. I don't know if it was really my favourite, but
it went from front-wheel drive and being really package efficient to being more conventional looking and rear-wheel drive. But the most amazing thing was it had basically Morris Minor front end.
Yeah. Like we were talking about smoke and mirrors. You know, you had this modern looking body, but underneath, gee, it was pretty antiquated. You know?
It was, wasn't it? I mean, you know, I think the original 1500 wasn't probably much go either. But look, I think, you know, if anything to say, they probably got a little bit better with a two-door. 1750 with a twin carb was, you know, would probably have to be the one to look for if you could find it today.
And have you recently seen in the last few years a six-cylinder car?
No, we haven't.
The six-cylinder Marina was a unique Australian product, you'd imagine it would have some sort of a following, wouldn't you?
You would think so.
Yeah, we just don't see them though, and even I think in a club scene, I mean, they're very far and few to be found. So I don't know where you find a Morris Marina or Leyland Marina today, but yeah.
Because in the UK, you know, there was it was a success for British Leyland. It was on sale for almost a decade. They sold more than 800,000 units of the Marina. If you put the Ital facelift on the end of that, 1.2 million cars. So in the UK, it was enormously successful, but in export markets, it wasn't quite as successful.
Probably a fairly wide choice here in Australia, and I think that's maybe, you know, equates to whether we didn't really have that success with the Marina here either.
Well, in here we only had sedans and coupes, of course, 1500cc, 1750, the 2600 six-cylinder. If someone was looking for one of these cars, a British car enthusiast, what would be the top of the order in terms of desirability? Is it that rare six-cylinder model?
Or the TC Coupe?
Yeah. My preference would probably be the two-door coupe with a 1750 twin carb. I think that's probably...
You could only get the twin carb engine in the coupe. I think that'd be the pick.
I think that'd be the pick of them. I think the six-cylinder car is interesting, whether it's any more collectible than a two-door version.
Because they all have to do that in Australia.
Yeah.
You eventually got the Chrysler Centura, the Cortina 6, the Tirana 6. It's one of the great things about our sport. It operates at all levels, from the Marina up to the most expensive Ferrari.
Yeah, correct. That's right.
You collect anything you like.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, thanks, Chris.
No problem, guys.
And remember, for the latest on Shannons auctions, keep up to date on the Shannons Club website. If you want a lasting memory of the Leyland Marina in competition, check out the huge archive at autopix.com.au. John, it's interesting reflecting on the Marina in Australia. A lot of interesting local content, particularly the 2.6 litre six-cylinder engine. That was an amazing era in the Australian car industry, wasn't it? The six-cylinder compact.
It was a unique Australian concept, rather in the way, you know, a decade or so earlier, the Americans have been putting V8s into the family second car. We got the six cylinders in the small cars. The Tirana was the first, and arguably the only really successful one, because when Ford put the six-cylinder engine in the Cortina and Chrysler put one in the Centura, they were proverbial lead-tipped arrows. And perhaps the Marina was even worse.
Yeah, it was along that line too.
Yes, it was.
There's so many good ideas. You look through the history of that company, so many great ideas, and they were all squandered.
Very few of them came together in the one car and came to market, or were built properly, or whatever. It was a disaster.
It just must have been chaos there, trying to get all those divisions, everyone working together, trying to swap parts and components.
Can you imagine the Monday morning staff meetings? What's gone wrong? Not much this week.
A shorter list is what went right.
Yeah, that's right.
It must have been terrible. Yeah. Well, I hope you've enjoyed reflecting on the memorable Leyland Marina. We hope you can join us next time for Shannons Club TV. Bye for now.